Hello, everybody, and welcome back to PW20. It is episode 18, and for the first time in our podcast history, um, every single PWHL team has a logo and a name. Whoop whoop! We have
Everyone
something to talk
here.
about. Woo!
Oh my god. It's nice to have something like confirmed too.
Yes. I want to say something because I feel like we'll dive into obviously the branding and the names and the logos and all that stuff in a second here, but I'm really shocked they didn't get leaked.
Well, did you
Every
see
person I talked to knew. Like so many people knew. Like media, like people who don't even like work in the league that aren't necessarily media, like so many people knew these freaking team names. And I'm
yeah.
shocked.
Well,
I'm
like
shocked they didn't
even
get
in
leaked.
the press conference this morning, like Amy Shear, who's like the business operations gal, she was like, I'm shocked that it didn't get leaked. Like I can't believe we made it this far without anyone
I
revealing.
I think honestly, like just hearing who at least I know who knew them, like it sounded like it was just a lot of people that knew how much work has gone into these, and like
Mhm.
leaking them like as much as you get a lot of likes and you get all that. Like I felt like it probably just wasn't worth it for anyone. But we're here. Every team has a logo. Every team has a name. Um, do you want to just start off by just saying them, and then we'll dive in?
Yeah. Do you want to do the Canadian ones and I'll try and
Sure,
remember the American one?
sure. So we have the Montreal Victoire, which again we're gonna dive deeper into these in a second. But I love that they picked just a French name.
Me too.
I
It's so
love
good.
that so much. I
Yeah.
think it just instills, the history of the city and the province and just who, people from Montreal and Quebec are. And I think it's great. I think it's so obvious that they're obviously a team from Montreal. And it's great. Um, the Ottawa Charge, which is getting a lot of hate, but I actually kind of like it. I'm trying to picture these logos on jerseys, and this is one to me I think is going to look unreal on a jersey.
I think on a jersey it will be better.
Yeah.
I really like the name a lot. The
Yeah.
logo leaves something to be desired, just like floating in space on a white background. But I
Yeah, white
think
backgrounds kind
on
of
the
throw me
jerseys
off.
it'll
I
be
think that
good.
might be a big part of it. I think that might be a big part of it.
Yeah.
And then the third Canadian team is the Toronto Scepters. Scepters? Did I
Yep.
say that right?
Yep.
Which is a royalty kind of name. It's like a staff, like the queen holds.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool. I think there was a lot of speculation of it possibly being queens, which like personally I hated. I thought you
Yeah.
also have the one, at least from my knowledge here, the one openly non-binary player like in the league on your roster. Like I just, for many reasons, I think it was brutal, and
Yeah.
I saw like one person guess it, um,
Yeah.
which I think is impressive.
I think
So
so too.
those are the three Canadian PWHL team names.
Yeah, I think Queens is the name that like a bunch of 50-year-old women pick for their like women's beer
Like
league
beer
team.
league, yeah. No,
Um, and
100%.
I did not want to go down that route. So I don't love scepters, but I think it's the best of the ones that
Yeah.
that looked like they were trying out. Okay, America, we have Minnesota Frost. I like that one a lot. I think it goes really well with their colors. It's
The purple's
very
so damn
like
good.
yeah, very strong.
I
I
like
really like that.
so we'll go into logos a bit here in a second, but with Minnesota's, because their colors in season one were pretty much just like purple
Yeah,
and like white, and then like some touches
black.
of black. I'm pretty sure, but I really like what they did with the additional purple here.
Yeah.
adding in that lighter purple, I think is banger. I think it's so
And
good.
it's so unique also, like,
Mhm.
no other teams that are
Yeah, no, exact.
like
Because
that.
usually when like a team has purple and like there's quite a few colleges and university teams and stuff that have purple in them, it's usually like purple and yellow or like you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it's not just purple and purple and then white, which I think is
Yeah,
so good. I think it's great.
I
So
really
shout out
like
to them
it.
for that.
My favorite moment, though, in the press conference was one of the journalists asked, if Prince was, like, an inspiration for the team, and, the lady who, like, headed the branding was like, "I mean, if fans want to interpret it that way." I was like, "So, no."
So the answer is no.
Yeah. Okay, then we have the Boston Fleet, which, again, I really like this one. Their logo is pretty much the Whalers logo, but
Yeah,
it's
which is so
cool.
interesting to me.
Yeah.
I
I
didn't
like
even
how
put
it
it together
shows,
at
like
first, and then I looked at it deeper and I was like, "Oh."
but I like how it shows the, like, anchor and the bee and everything,
Mhm.
like, I really like it, and I think it's a unique name.
It's
Like,
strong.
yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. And then the last one is New York Sirens, which I do like. There wasn't a lot of nobody seemed to really know if it was about like the sound of a siren or if it was about like the mythical like creature. But either way, it's kind of cool, and I think their logo is very strong.
Yeah.
I really like it, and I think it makes it sounds like New York, like
Yeah, and I
yeah,
look at this logo too, and it's New York.
yeah,
Obviously, it says NY in it, but like it is New York to me. I think of we got there's a handful of women's teams with that with teal, but then also you get that orange in there, which is the Knicks,
mhm,
and then
yeah,
or even
and then
like
the
the
Islanders,
Islanders,
yeah,
and then that like dark like blue as well. Like it screams New York to me, which
yeah,
hopefully is leading down the path to staying in New York full time, which I think is
yeah.
the plan. But like, um, I like it. I wasn't sure about the Sirens logo at first. Like I just kind of looked at it. I was like, I don't know. But like the more I look at it, and the more I like actually like. Also, they had, in my opinion, the best hype video.
Oh, it was so good.
Because they were the only ones that used like music like with like lyrics in it,
Yeah.
and it just fit the whole thing. It was great.
As I was watching the videos this morning, I was like, that was like the last one or the second last one that I saw, and I was like, they're not using like any like lyrics or anything. Like it's very much,
Yeah, it was just
non-copyright kind
instrumentals
of
and yeah, yeah,
instrumental.
yeah, yeah.
And then the New York one came, and I was like,
It
oh
was
yeah,
just
this is
yeah, this was
perfect.
so New York. No, it was
Yeah,
great. Um, so do you want from there? Do you want to just go backwards and dive into the logos a little bit more?
sure.
So we
Yeah.
talked
So the
about Boston's, which
fleet.
again I didn't even pick up at first that it was so similar to the Whalers. Like at
Yeah.
first I was just like, yeah, it's a bee, and like, oh, okay, yeah, I see the waves, and then like 10-15 minutes later, like as like the discourse kind of like started to pick up, and I was like, oh, yep, that's the Whalers logo. But I like it. I think uh I think it ties into the city with like the harbor and everything like that, and
Mhm.
it's ties there. And then I don't know. A lot of people don't like the green. Like they didn't like it in season one, but I think it's great. I think it's strong. I think it's just like I don't know. Boston's you don't want to mess with them, and like I look at this logo, I'm like I don't want to mess with that logo.
No, I agree. I think I really like the green, and then I like the kind of like industrial style logo. Like
Yeah, like in
I
their
don't
like
know.
word marks and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of like screams ship to me.
No,
And I
yeah,
think it's
no, hundred
cool.
percent.
Like I think
Yeah.
it's really unique. I like it a lot.
Yeah. And then Minnesota,
The
we mentioned the
dock. Yeah.
purple, which like again, more teams need purple, but I think for them to just like make the like secondary logo another purple is huge. And I think if I were to be the most excited for jerseys, these are up there for me. Like I think I already really like their season one jerseys with the purple, but like I think adding that extra shade is going to be huge. To me, it also kind of though looks like a superhero kind of logo.
It does. Yeah. Like Mr. Frost or
Yeah,
something.
it should
Yeah?
be on, like, the chest, like, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
on a cape, but I think it's good. I think, again, like, Frost itself, like, Minnesota's not a warm place, and, like, obviously, Minnesota hockey is so massive, like, you got so many, like, things there that, like, tie into it. There's not, for at least for me, a lot to hate here.
No, I agree, and with their, like, videos that they released, I loved the tie-in to, like, pond hockey and,
Yeah,
like, being out in the wilderness playing hockey, and I was like, "Oh, this is the most, like, just hockey, like, at its core type of logo."
yeah,
I think it's beautiful, and I do think, like, one of the things they really stressed when they were making these is to not, like, go too far from the original identities of the teams, and I think this is, like you were saying, just, like, a really good way to, like, elaborate on season 1 and not take anything away from, like, the colors that everyone loved and the, like, the backing of that, so,
yeah, no,
yeah.
100%. Um, and then from there, we got Toronto, which, I'll be honest, the yellow shocked me. Um,
Me
I
too.
had heard they had another color, like, ahead of time, and I was asked if I wanted to know it, and I said no because I wanted to be surprised. And I wasn't expecting yellow. I don't know why, because in season one, it was very like I'm looking at their logo right now, and there's not a single bit of white in it.
No, and they were very, like, white and blue, like
Yeah, and
yeah,
now it looks like it's blue and yellow, which I like. I literally like my college was
yeah,
blue and white. I liked it, but like it just took me by surprise, but not in a bad way. Just like being like, oh, I didn't really think it was gonna go that way. But
yeah.
I think it's a very strong logo. I think I'm just still adjusting to the yellow. I think I'm like
Yeah,
truthfully like still adjusting because like I don't know. Season one, they're white and blue,
I know, I agree, and I feel like I have a couple of thoughts on it. It differentiates from the Toronto hockey team, like,
which I
thing,
like.
right?
I
Which
kind
is
of like.
great, like, it doesn't look
Yeah.
like it's just, like, the Leafs or the Marlies, which is cool. I also think, like, purple is, like, the color that I think of when I think of royalty, and I feel like they had to put something in there, and they couldn't do purple. So
Yeah.
yellow, gold is, like, kind of the next best
Yeah,
thing,
that's a
but
good call.
I don't know, it's interesting. I'm looking at the, like, one of the things they released today, which apparently has sold out, I was just seeing, is the, like, collaboration with the Peace Collective for their merch,
Mhm.
and I really like they have, like, a kind of, like, gold fading out, like, kind of ombre to blue, and I really like that. So, I think depending on how they add it to the jerseys, it could be cool, but
That was my
who knows?
thoughts too. I think for any logo that I see that's just a logo, my mind goes, okay, like I try and remind myself, like, hey, like there's jerseys, like once these are in jerseys, like I'm probably gonna have different views on them. And
Yeah.
I think this is one for me because right now I'm still adjusting to the yellow. I wasn't expecting yellow. Um and yeah, I'm excited to see the jerseys for especially for Toronto's like
Yeah.
um I'm nervous though because I'm like it could go one way or the other. But I think it's fun. I think I saw Emma Malte. She was in her Instagram story, I believe, with Maggie Connors and Julia Gosling. I think, or is it Julia or is it?
Yeah.
There's two Goslings and there's
There's
one that's
2,
on
I don't
Toronto,
know.
but
It's
the
Julia
younger
who's on
one,
Toronto. Yeah.
yeah, so Julia, um, they were. It looked like they had just finished a workout or were about to do a workout together, and they're like, it's a selfie, and the three of them are like holding, but they put the thing in, and like, I think there's a lot of fun things you can do with this, and like whether I hope all these teams get mascots in the next year or so, but whether whatever your mascot is, like it's gonna be holding a scepter and it's gonna be cool as heck, and like there's so many layers to that. But yeah, the
Oh,
yellow's
and
still just throwing me off, and I just need to see a jersey before I like fully like hate it or like it.
one of our friends does, like, the in-game, kind of, like, experience stuff,
Shout
and
out
some of the
Brandon,
ideas yeah, some of the ideas that he had, that to play around with this, like, I think the in-arena experience is gonna be insane because he always
which it
does a good
already
job,
is, which
but
like it
yeah,
already is. Like they had
yeah,
only what 2,000 fans at each game because that's all they could host, and it was packed every night, and it was
yeah,
already top tier. And like now that you add branding in there, the sky's the limit.
yeah, it's gonna be great. Next we had okay, so Ottawa. So the logo is Interesting. There is this picture going around of Andrew Mangiapane having, like, drawn the Calgary Flames C for, like, a challenge that the Flames did, and it does kind of look like what you would draw from memory,
And then it
if you were trying to
also
draw the
looks
Flames logo.
like the Cavaliers in the NBA
Yeah.
a little bit. But I don't hate it.
Again, I think
I
you're
don't
right.
hate it.
I do think it will look really good on a jersey, and even
Mhm.
in the because each team released, like, the logo, and then they
Yeah.
also released, like, what it would look like with, like, the name, in, like, the
Mhm.
fonts and everything, and I liked the C that they have for the charge is it charge or
Yep.
chargers?
No, it's
Okay,
George.
charge.
You're good.
For the charge, like, I think it'll look good on a jersey. It was just, like, the most, like, jarring
Yeah.
one
When
going
I
into it.
started to see it on merch, when I, like, went and looked at the merch, I was like, "Okay, this is gonna look good on
Yeah.
a jersey." And then with, Brianne Jenner wearing the shirt today in the presser, and then they
Mhm.
posted a photo too, like, obviously it's not a jersey, it's just a logo on a red shirt, but, like, seeing it like that and not on a white background was, like,
Yeah.
really helpful for me to, like, actually make a decision on it. I like that red's the primary. I think you
Mhm.
got to keep that, especially after such a successful year with your fans in the city of Ottawa. I like
Yeah.
it. I think it's fun. I think they're a very Charge makes sense with this team.
I
Like
totally agree. Yeah.
they're fast, they're hard hitting, like they're like literally go 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 all the time, and I think it really fits their vibe of the team and the city.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of glad it's not like capital city
Yeah.
related like I had heard originally. I had heard some ties into like it being like about the capital city, and it just wasn't vibing with me. I'm not gonna lie.
I am really glad it wasn't that. And Brianne Jenner, I think, in the press conference also said like she hopes the fans really like this name because she feels like the fans in Ottawa give them like this charge
That's what I
behind
was
the
thinking. Yeah,
team.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They had the
And
best fans like
so
in like in
yeah,
arena like like gosh, what was it? Game one where they were booing Pooh. Like
yeah,
literally, it was game one, and they were booing the captain of Team Canada that they've been cheering for a decade. Like I think they showed us from the very start that they're bringing so much energy to this team, and I think
yeah.
this is honestly, I think it fits, and it's gonna take some bit of adjusting for people, but I think once we see it on jerseys, we'll be okay.
But honestly, can we also talk about the fact that there's a team that's playing in Ottawa that's called the 67s? Like, this is
Yeah.
not the worst name in
No,
Ottawa.
it's not. It's not at all. And I think it's good. I really do. I like the yellow. Um, and it seems like the like goldy yellow kind of like will be a very minimal kind of like addition to
Yeah,
it, but I just think it adds to it, and I think it'll be fun.
I
Um,
agree.
and then the sixth and final logo
The
is my
best
personal
one.
favorite. Oh my god, they freaking killed this.
They crushed
The
it.
Montreal Victoire.
Yeah.
Wow, this logo you just rips. It's so good. it's
I
so
yeah,
good, man.
it's
Oh my
amazing. I
gosh.
want all the merch
There's
so
so much to
badly.
unpack with it too. Like I think in season 1 their third color was like gray. Um it had that like it looked like blue at first, but it was actually gray. Like if you like
Yeah,
looked at their like hex codes and stuff. But now it's like this like dark deep navy, and it is banging.
beautiful.
It's
I
so
love
pretty.
the, like, inclusion of the, like, flower thing,
No,
the
I
the
got you.
Quebec
I got you.
flower thing that they do. Like, I really like that as, like, the head of the, like,
Yeah.
bird almost.
Oh, it's so good.
Stunning.
It's so good. I can't even find anything to hate on it. Like I genuinely I think again I already mentioned the name, but like they mentioned in the press conference and like in the releases and stuff that like the main thing they wanted to hammer home with this name was they didn't want to have a translation to
Yeah.
it. They wanted it to just be what it is, which reminds me of the Le Canadiens. Like
Mhm.
it that was who they were. And it
Yeah.
wasn't just like, okay, they're this, but then in French they're this. Like it was like this is that. Like I think Echo was the original
Mhm.
one that they were thinking of. Like that's gonna be Echo in English, and I don't know what it is in French because I didn't do
Yeah.
well in French in high
Me
school.
neither.
But like this here, it's so strong and it's so good, and like I don't know, like hockey in Montreal, especially women's hockey, like obviously historically hockey, but like women's hockey as of like the last decade, like they win a lot, and they like have a lot of success, and Victoire is perfect. Like I think
Yeah.
it's so good. I think it speaks for the city, the province, and just who um people from Quebec are. It's strong, man. Like it's like I don't want to mess with this logo. Like
No,
it's
and
so good, and like
it's
a few of these logos are quite pointy, but this one
yeah,
is perfect. Like it's
yeah.
so perfect. Oh,
It's
I love
so,
it so
like,
much.
elegant. It's so elegant,
Mhm.
and I really like that because, like, it's so strong, but there's also, like, the feminine kind of side to it, which I think really fits, and I saw some people saying, like, this is a slap in the face to all of the Anglophones in Montreal, but I I mean, like,
Why? Because it's not.
'cause it's not in English, I don't know, but,
Oh,
like, I don't agree, like, I think this is, like, the idea that I have of the team when I think about them, and it
no, it's
also
perfect.
all
It's
like,
so
the
good.
Canadiens, the Alouettes, it just fits the sporting vibe in Montreal, and I think it's great. And
Yeah, and
also from, like, a
it was like
media
the Force
side
too, right? Like Force was like it
yeah,
was both in both ways. Same
yeah,
with the Les Canadiens. Like it's that's kind of how it's always been, and that's how it should be,
yeah.
right?
And from a media,
And
like, social perspective, it's so nice to not have to change and remember, like,
no,
the English and
exactly.
stuff, it's so handy, yeah.
Even like when in season one, because PWHL, like the acronym, it's not that, and even just
Yeah,
Professional Women's Hockey League, it's not that in French. So
no.
even when you were saying PWHL Montreal, that wasn't that in French. So it was like
Mhm,
even confusing. Like you look at um like just like their branding from season one, a lot of it was extra translated, like more than it needed to be. Not or not needed to be, but because of that. Like it was
yeah.
like and they won't have to worry about that, Like I'm excited for I can't wait for the jerseys for this one.
Yeah, and they did say in the press conference that end of October, early November
Yeah.
is when they're expecting the jerseys.
I've
They were
heard they're
not expecting
done.
them now, but
I've heard
yeah,
design wise they're done. What's and maybe like there's like extra things they're adding, but for the most
yeah,
part, I've heard they're just the designs themselves are fairly done, pretty much done.
yeah,
It's just now they got to make them, which is they want to make sure when the jerseys release to the public, like, hey, these are our jerseys, people can buy
yeah,
them. Which
totally,
obviously,
and
why? Yeah,
the players can have them, and it's
think about how
easier
good
to
the merch
get.
probably has done today. Stuff is already sold
Mhm,
out, and it's
yeah,
only like what is it, 4 p.m. here, so it's been less than 12
8
hours, less
hours.
than like it's like
Yeah,
8 hours since the release, like, and I'm sure most of the merch will be gone by tomorrow.
yeah,
Which I wanted to talk about the merch for a second because it's really cool to see the Peace Collective stuff. I own a few pieces of from Peace Collective. I have a couple of their NFL stuff, and some of the comfiest and like greatest quality pieces of like clothing, like comfort clothing that I own. Like
yeah,
I've had a sweater that like I've had for over a year, and like you look at the design on it and like it's obvious that I just didn't just buy it, but like it isn't obvious that I wear it so often. Like I wear it and it gets washed a bunch and it's great. The price point is brutal. I admit to that. I wanted to buy a shirt today and I couldn't because it's $60 and I can't do that right now.
yeah.
But I will say from like someone who owns several pieces of collective stuff, it's fantastic and it
Yeah, it
looks
seems like
so
it's
good.
worth the price tag.
Yeah, and it looks
Yeah,
so good. And then Bauer's got some stuff, which Bauer, we need to have a discussion with you and your team on
yeah,
your web design or your web team because uh, I had been shown those screenshots last night about how they had like leaked the actual names and then also the additional ones that like the league was like on the fence on at one point. Bauer, what are we doing?
how
I'm
well, that's
so
like
glad though no one caught it like
when you
and
said
publicly
earlier,
told
like,
it. Yeah.
it didn't get leaked, like, just by virtue of people not looking at Bauer's website.
Yep. Yep.
But also, what's so funny to me is that the Minnesota Marmot was an option,
Yeah, that
according to
was
that, and that's
a
so
choice.
funny to me. Yeah, I think
That was a
that's so funny.
choice.
But I
Um,
think, like,
yeah, I'm happy
in
with it,
terms
to
of
be honest.
merch, yeah, I like how they partnered with, like, different groups to put the merch out, and I'm sure based on how it's sold that we'll see more throughout the year, and
And we
we'll
have bigger
have
sizes. It
yeah,
doesn't just go up to XL. It only goes up to 2XL, which is good. But it's a start, and that's all that matters, at least for
yeah.
now. I
definitely.
hope the
And it's
size is like that continues with jerseys too, as well.
I hope so too. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they did say that you'll be able to buy jerseys with players' names on the back, which is
which is so
fantastic.
cool.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so
Hopefully
exciting.
they can make some money off of that as well. I don't know, that's what used to happen.
I think it's in their
But
CBA. I could be wrong. The CBA is too long for me to read through it, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I remember when the CBA did come out
yeah,
publicly. I'm pretty sure merch sales are in there. I don't know the details. I don't even know if the details are in there, but I'm pretty sure that's part of it, and it should be. And I can't see it not being.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think I will say I was on the side of they should have. I thought they should have had logos and team
Mhm,
names, but I also understood why they didn't. I saw both sides of it. I was just more disappointed from a fan's perspective of like how and they found other ways to get those fans to buy in, which I
mhm.
love. But I will say for them to wait a year, have those names kind of get quote unquote leaked. Everyone hated them. They sucked. They did suck. Let's be real. And then to pretty much probably restart that process and like really like dive into it a little bit better. I think they nailed it.
I agree. I think if we had waited an entire year for these and they were not good, it would have been kind of like, "Okay, we should have just done this in the first year." Like this clearly did not get any thought, but I think they said today that it took them like 9 months, I think, to do this, and I think it really shows that they really cared about the outcomes of this and the logos and the names and how important it was to have like meaning to them and for them to fit with like the original colors and things like that. So I agree, and I think it was worth the wait, and I think they did a really good job with the launch as
Yeah.
well, which maybe in the past hasn't really been their strongest suit, but I think this time around it got lots of people talking, and everyone was just like waiting to wake up this morning to find out what the names
Yeah,
would be. So
well, it was so funny this morning because it was like, okay, they're gonna be on breakfast television in Canada and then in Good Morning America, obviously in the States.
yeah,
And it was like 8 a.m. is the show. Like it's like the 8 a.m. slot, so everyone's like up at 8 like Eastern, and then it was like it'll be at the 8:40 time, and I saw a few people being like, "Oh, I'm going back to bed for a half hour." It's like, who is like can you imagine the person I actually saw who tweeted that like they're in the like BC time zone, like they're in Pacific time zone. It's like, man, you have people waking up at like literally like 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning
yeah,
for logos and names. That's huge. That's so
it
exciting. And I
is.
think like I wish their season was starting next month. Like I wish, it
Yeah,
was, and like I'm sure we'll get to a point where like the season kind of shifts itself out so it's starting in November or maybe eventually October. But it's exciting. I'm excited.
yeah. I
I'm
think it was a
excited to
great
see the
launch. We're
social
gonna take out.
teams like actually have branding now. Like I know obviously we're both social people and like digital people, and like I'm excited for those social teams to have names and to have brandings.
Yeah,
It's so nice. Like I saw Toronto posting Spooner took a selfie with the shirt on, and then they had Blair with a shirt as well. And like it's so small, but like they put like their team logo on the top right corner of the photos, and I'm like, they didn't do that before because they couldn't, because they didn't
it's
have a
gonna be
logo. It's so little, but I love it so much. And like, shout out
and
to Eva. Eva's the Toronto social person. She used to be my intern actually with the Metropolitan Riveters. Shout out them. Rest in peace. But I'm excited for that. I'm excited for I don't know. I think it's
and
cool
like
for the yeah.
the outfits, like, imagine what Mariah
Oh,
Keppel is gonna
Keppel is
do
gonna be
with that
Eleni,
logo,
if you're
like,
listening, if you're listening, we gotta know. We need a sneak peek of what keeps is what she's cooking up.
I need to see it, I'm so excited.
Awesome.
It's great. It's been a great day.
I know, and like we talked before this when we hadn't hit record yet, and we've been like long time no see, and then
Yeah,
we were both kind of like they haven't really given us much to talk about, but now we have something, and like I hope that like I don't know, like maybe this is like their kind of push to give us a bit more. Like hopefully we're getting schedules soon. Hopefully we're getting confirmations because we have Toronto's confirmation of a new arena, which came last
mhm,
week. I believe it was last week.
yeah,
They're going from the Mattamy Center, which 2,300 I think max, and that's like absolute max, to Coca-Cola Coliseum, which is like over 8,000. Like, it's such a difference, and I think we're probably going to get more of an understanding of New York's situation, and then we also got a more understanding of Montreal's last week too.
And
Um,
Boston, they said today that they'll be in Lowell again,
which I don't
but
hate.
that's
I don't
fine.
think it's
Yeah,
great, but when push came to shove at the end of the season there with the playoffs and stuff, they sold out. They did well.
yeah,
I think if that's what they need to do, and then eventually get into TD Garden, there you go.
yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
So
All
things
right.
are moving
Any
forward.
any last thoughts on the jersey, or not the jerseys? Well, maybe if you want to talk about jerseys, but on the logos, names, anything.
No, I'm just excited.
I
Pleasantly
know.
surprised and excited.
I know. I was like, it was nice seeing the logos and feeling like, huh, I actually like those. I don't hate
Yeah,
that. Like I was like, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. That's pretty good. All right. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, whatever you are listening or watching this on. Thank you so much. As always, if you have the means to, please consider a paid subscription to the Ice Garden. Helps us get paid a little bit, helps us be able to hire. And also, speaking of hiring,
we are
if you
hiring.
are a women's hockey contributor, whatever you want to get behind a mic like this, if you want to write, if you want to kind of anything along those lines, reach out to us. You can reach out to either one of us on our social medias or on the Ice Garden Twitter, Instagram, or Mike Murphy. Any of us, really. Or all of us,
Yeah,
put us in a group chat. Who cares? We are hiring, which is exciting. And those paid subs are able to give us the opportunity to hire more people. So it's very appreciative. Here's to more fun, exciting news that isn't a signing of a player who we already knew was going to sign. So,
yay.
all right. Thank you, folks.